I know what you're thinking. You're wondering, what's he going to talk about in this podcast? Because the last one, he said there was more coming, and there was something about a follow-up to the last podcast. Well, guess what? Here it is. And in the last podcast, I talked about building a great team. And just like a ship leaving the harbor, we have to have a vision and direction of where we're headed here. So once you have that, once your team understands it, it's a process. We don't get there overnight. It does not happen. We don't share it at a team meeting and talk about it one time and it's done. This is something that becomes a mantra. It becomes part of the process. It becomes a routine, an activity, something that it happens all the time. It becomes infectious. So as part of this, we also have to ask ourselves this question, not only when we're creating or reevaluating our direction and vision, but we also have to ask this question in our daily routines. And that is, are we being too comfortable? And when I ask this question, are we being too comfortable? Most times when individuals are starting to develop this vision and direction for their business and their team, they play too small. They think, oh, well, they come up with all the reasons why it won't work or why someone else is better than them. And that leads to us playing too small. I talked earlier about raising the fees. Well, it's interesting because even that in itself, people play too small. If you went to a really nice restaurant and the entree was like $8.99, you'd sit back and wonder, is this, even appetizers at a really nice restaurant are not $8.99. I mean, at a really nice restaurant, they're closer to $15 or more. I mean, one of my favorite sushi restaurants, they've got an appetizer there that's, I think, $30. So sometimes the fees are commensurate with your expectation of service and quality. So when we're talking about vision and direction and also our fees, we want to make sure all those things are in line and they are congruent. So when we think about you and asking this question of whether we're playing too small, here's one that I routinely talk to clients about, just to get them to expand their thought process. So with some of the clients that I work with, they'll talk about serving their town. And then let's just say if they're in, I don't know. Let's just talk about my hometown, Charlotte, North Carolina. So if I were to talk to someone who owns a great business or a oral surgery practice, a dental practice, or anything of the sort, if I talk to them about how they grow their business, they talk about serving their little town. And of course, Charlotte's a metropolitan area, so there's the small towns that compose Charlotte. And they'll talk about their little town within Charlotte, as opposed to, well, why wouldn't someone travel? Why wouldn't someone travel hours or even from a different state to see you? And interestingly enough, after more digging, I often find that some of the clients have examples of, oh, well, so-and-so moved away. But they loved us so much that they still drive 4 hours. So one example, actually, my dentist. And the reason I was referred to this dentist was a good friend, and my good friend sold their home, and they moved to Low Country, South Carolina. But they still drive from the Low Country of South Carolina up to Charlotte every 6 months to get their teeth cleaned, and then to get their work done if need be. So they have people that drive 4 hours one way just to go get the teeth cleaned. And I have clients that will, they do complete smile makeovers, and whether it's all restorative work or they're removing teeth and literally creating a life-changing event for some of these patients. And the interesting thing is, some of the ones that you see floating around Instagram and YouTube and things like that, there was a patient that's floating around, really kind of a popular story on Instagram. I think the patient was from Pennsylvania and the dentist was in Texas. I might have it backwards. But either way, she traveled a long distance all because of perception. So you have to think big about, why would people come to us? Why would people travel all the way across the country? So imagine if you created this vision and direction of what we're doing, stop playing comfortable and think big. I am literally the 300-pound gorilla of what I do for a living. If I'm a dentist or an oral surgeon or I'm a home builder or what have you, people will travel from all over to see me. In fact, there was a practice that I worked with in California. They had people coming from Dubai. That's right. They traveled from Dubai to California to get work done. So think big. And that's just the build your dream, build your vision, build the direction of where we're headed with this. Because imagine if you only landed halfway. We're still probably 5 to 10 steps further ahead than where you are today. So you got to play big to even remotely win big. The other piece of this is we have to ask that question whether we're playing too comfortably on day-to-day activities. So did we hire the right person? Did we put the right person in the right position? Are we going into this with enough enthusiasm? Are we really looking to sharpen our axe on the daily to make sure that we're constantly moving towards this vision or this destination that we are the provider that everyone travels to see? We stop with all these excuses. Oh, well, people in our town don't cross that intersection. Sorry, but that's crap. If you continue to come up with all the excuses, you're limiting your own possibilities. You're limiting your own destination. You're limiting how soon you will retire. You're limiting your own financial freedom. When you stop that, you'll be amazed at the success you will have. So when you decide that you're going to play big, you will win big. But you have to also impart the same philosophy to your team. And when you impart the same philosophy to your team, then we have to get them to start thinking about their own day-to-day activities. So for example, when we go greet a patient in the reception area, is it like every other practice in town? Is it like every other practice in the country? Or is there something unique and different about it? When we greet someone on the phone, does it sound like I've called the Department of Motor Vehicles? Or does it sound like, oh my God, I've just called my long-lost friend? We have to really go back and look at the day-to-day activities and really see whether we're truly living up to our vision, we're truly living up to our direction. It's that day-to-day stuff that gets us there. It's actionable activities. It's things that we know we can do on the daily, but we're all human beings. And this requires, so the opposite of comfort is discomfort. It requires discomfort for us to get there. Right now, our whole world is designed off comfort. Think about all the things around us. Comfortable chairs, comfortable vehicle, comfortable this. Even Amazon was designed after comfort because you don't have to leave the comfort of your own home. You don't have to go search all over town to find this one product. You get on your phone while you're sitting on the couch watching TV, drinking whatever beverage you want, and you order the item as opposed to getting off your butt and going and getting in the car and driving around town to find it. Now, mind you, it's good that we have that comfort because I just bought myself some time and freedom. But what do you do with it? Do we do anything else? Do we create another discomfort? So the point is, if we come up with all the reasons why we don't like to do something, those are oftentimes revolving around the discomfort about discomfort. We have to recognize that in ourselves and our team members, because this is leading to my next podcast, which I'm not going to tell you about. But we have to start recognizing when people are sensing discomfort and they slow down, they stop, they dig their heels in. And it could be you, it could be your team. But we cannot tolerate discomfort. And it's okay. We should start to like discomfort. Discomfort is one of those things where we need to get comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable. Oftentimes it's not allowed to happen, or people don't like to allow it to happen because they feel like they're going to be judged for making a mistake. And again, another problem in today's world with social media and other outlets where it's just all too common for people to be judged for stepping out and doing something different. So with that said, that's really my setup and segue for my next podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this one. And the next one is going to build off of this one. As always, you have comments, feedback, requests, drop them in the comments. Send them to me directly. I'd love to hear from you.